Right. Shit. Got you something. So am I gonna start this?
I guess.
Okay. Hey everybody, this is Charles from LowLevelBoss.com, and today I have Jared.
Yes.
Oh God, why are you fucking sweaty?
We already talked about this. I am hot.
Okay, so fuck that. Today we're gonna be talking about the movie Ratchet and Clank. Let's see, do I have it over here?
We have it.
Got that shit. Ow, fuck. Got that shit on Redbox. Because
Redbox round.
oh well, yeah, okay.
We're not getting paid by Redbox.
This is sponsored by Redbox. Later. Ow, fuck! I keep hitting this.
Don't hit it. It's probably making lots of loud noise.
I hit it like a redneck beats his wife. Okay. Yeah, I'll cut that. I know it's kind of late, but the reason why we got it was we walked by Redbox and went, wait, why is Ratchet and Clank? Didn't that just come out? And no, it didn't. It came out in April, but it kind of came out quietly, and I think it kind of died off really quickly. I mean, looking at the scores on Rotten Tomato, IMDb, and Metacritic, they're all just bad. And I don't really think it deserved that low of scores. I thought it did better than that, but I can understand why people just didn't like it.
I think I just low scores, maybe not that low.
Yeah.
But
Like the IMDb, I think it was like 5.8, and I was like, yeah, around a 6. That seems doable. But I think like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic had like about 30% or 29, and Rotten Tomatoes I think it was like 18%. But I guess when it's reviewed by critics, they're a little bit more harsher on certain subjects.
right, yeah. Though it's funny because I'm usually one to more agree with the critics than the audience.
I go back and forth.
I think this one I'm still with the critics.
Yeah, like if anybody's like, yeah, I hate this movie, I totally get it. And the reason why I wanted to watch it was actually we played Ratchet and Clank, but we played it for the channel. So if you want to check out those Let's Plays, they're there. Hell yeah. But I played those games as a kid, and so I really liked that storyline. So I wanted to see how they could do it differently, and they did do a lot of things differently. Like introducing Dr. Nefarious this early on was actually kind of cool.
They definitely wove later parts with earlier parts.
Yeah, and like they gave an origins to Dr. Nefarious.
Yeah.
Rather than because in the games he was just there. He's just a robot. He was never a person unless they alluded to it, maybe very subtly.
Right.
So I like that. It gave it more like a more dynamic. Also, full disclosure, spoiler alert for the movie. Even though you're not missing much. You already know what's gonna happen because if you played the first game, it's pretty much stays along that storyline. It adds in some other things and whatnot, but you're gonna pretty much already know. But from here on out, just spoilers. So that way we don't feel constrained. Actually, before we get the spoilers, do you want to just say any thoughts on the movie so far?
It sucked. No, I would say it was boring.
That's fair.
It just wasn't. It didn't have enough. I would say, I feel like it was in a weird spot. Because it's like if you played the game, I feel like it didn't have enough callbacks to the game to really give you a lot of nostalgia, but I also feel like if you didn't play the game, you're not really going to know a lot of... Though they do give enough backstory to give you the full story, but it's kind of boring, so...
Yeah, well, I think if they would have went the direction of, like, introducing stuff from the games all the time, it would have been fan servicey.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I thought they did it okay. What I wish that they would have kept in the movie that they had in the original games was... we were talking about it while we were watching the movie, was the subtle adult jokes.
Yes.
Like one of the games, like the second game is called Going Commando, which means you're not wearing your underwear. And the third game is Up Your Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of it by Deadlocked. So you can tell they were kind of starting to come back from it. But there was adult jokes throughout the game.
Isn't there even a part where Clank gets stopped in the middle of a sentence? He says "son of a," and gets like stopped by something.
I think so. Yeah, that
There's
sounds
all
right.
kinds of stuff in that.
I don't know if
like
it was
that in the
Clank or Ratchet.
No, it was Clank. Or was it?
That would make sense to that character because he's a very straightforward and whatever character. But then he breaks character for that moment, so that would be great. Which, speaking of Clank, everything was going well. I thought everything about Ratchet and Clank, their dynamic as characters, was pretty good. Other than the fact that they were just instantly buddies.
Yeah, that was.
Because in the original game they did it right. They had similar goals, so that's why they teamed up in the beginning. But then they had a falling out, and then they realized they worked better as a team, and they apologized to each other, and then from then on, they were inseparable. But it made sense. It was just like, okay, they've gone through some stuff, now they have this bond
Yeah.
that they didn't have before. This one, they're just kind of like, there was a part where he's like, Clank goes, "Are you ready, partner?" And it was just like, there was nothing built up for that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you noticed, I noticed and said it to you, and you're like, "Oh, you thought the same thing?" Was when he was digging up the teleporter part, like this climactic ending to save. And I guess spoilers now.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you said
I think
it was.
we've already started. But
Yeah, you said it was kind of boring. I agree. I thought it was good, but okay, now we can get into spoilers. Saving Captain Cork, because there's this. The first game, Captain Cork betrays you, but in this one, well, no, he never betrays you. He's just a phony in the game.
Yeah.
Which I liked that better.
yeah, I kind of preferred how it was done in the game, that he was just an actor that kind of played a superhero.
Yeah,
But
and
everybody believed he was a superhero.
because he was on TV.
Yeah.
He was a superhero on TV, but when you met him in real life, he was just this
He was just a sellout.
crappy actor. Yeah. Like living out of the trailer.
Actually,
and stuff like that.
technically, I don't think he ever really was a sellout, because can you really be sellout if that's how you start your, your persona? You just start straight out.
You never did sell out. I guess you never did sell out, but you're just a sellout. I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah, but that was the dynamic of it. And then later on, he becomes a hero. He actually, gets his heroics.
Well, in the beginning, he is technically, he is a hero. He fights crime. He does all that. He's just into himself, and he can sell out, which he does. And then he gets his, what do you call that, redemption. Yeah.
Well, I like the games version a little bit better, but this one's not bad. This one he is a hero, but he's very, he is true to his character. He's very selfish. He's more into the fame rather than actually saving the people. He just does it because he likes people to like him.
Yeah.
And so I thought the characters actually felt like what they were in the game, so you don't feel betrayed like, oh, what are they doing with this character? They actually felt like it. And
Right.
from the game's point, those characters were really well developed in the game. So keeping that, I think was a good thing.
I thought of one word. It's weird to say because it felt kind of long, drawn out, and boring, but it was rushed. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, it was very rushed. And I heard the same thing about the game. Was they're trying to get to these set pieces that they're trying to get from his home planet of Veldin to Metropolis to the planet Deconstructor, and then to New that planet that they're building.
Oh, right, yeah.
The premise is the same from the games as in the movie, where the Blargians destroy their own world. It's just they have to go underground because it's poisonous and whatnot. And so they go around to all these planets, picking out the best pieces from it to build the best world. That is the best of all. It's like the best of both worlds, but you get it. But
Oh, jeez.
which I love that there was a scene, and I thought on the surface level, the jokes and how the story is, it's kind of boring and plain. But I thought the hidden little details and jokes, the small ones that they're not trying hard to do, were great.
Yeah.
That was the only saving part. The jokes that they were trying to say, they were forcing it.
Oh.
You cut back to a character, be like, really?
Well,
That's when you're...
Like I even said, I made a joke about stealing jokes. Because I felt like there wasn't really much originality. They were all just cliched jokes that you've seen in most comics.
Yeah, and there was a part where they were making fun of that kind of, where Captain Cork takes two very generic, one-liners and accidentally mixes them up. And Dr. Nefarious is like, wait, which one are you trying to say? That was great.
I thought that was creative.
Then they ended it with a generic one-liner. And he said that it might have been wrong.
I don't know if he messed it up or not, but maybe that was the joke, is that it's not that he messed it up, but he changed the one-liner. Yeah. Because, what was it? It's over my dead body, but he says over your dead body. I think, now that I think about it, I think it works. When I first heard it, I was being a little too critical, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was done really well, because it was the stereotypical hero versus the villain, and he's trying to give a one-liner and he fucks it up.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? They can't all be gold. I workshop.
That's his job.
Yeah.
It's every once in a while, something's gonna suck.
Yeah, so sue me and stuff like that. So there are moments in this movie that I guess maybe just that moment. Everything else plays it really safe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a kid, I think will enjoy this movie, but then when he grows up and he goes back, he'll be like,
So it felt like it was more catering to little kids, which
Yeah,
now that I understand the movie was kind of about, what do you call that? For the new game coming out is kind of...
It's advertisement.
That's what... So I can kind of understand, because the new game is for kids. I just wish it was... Even though, that's fan service-y, it would have been kind of nice to give some nostalgia to the kids that used to play it, who are adults now.
Well, you could have done it by having those adult jokes. that's why Ratchet and Clank worked, and when we were going back and playing it, we had a new appreciation as adult.
Yeah.
Well, I played it when I was more of a teenager, so I still got most of it. But the whole thing was the kids would have fun with like these cool weapons and just silly humor. But then every couple of instances, there'd be a little bit of an adult joke there, but no attention drawn to it.
Right.
So the kids don't go, oh, what was that? They don't get confused. They just see the silly jokes, and then the adults that are watching their kids play, they're having fun too.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, there have been movies before that have adult jokes in them, and I'm trying to remember which ones. But the whole point of those adult jokes was so that way the parents that take the kids to the theater have fun with the movie too.
I mean, look back at all the early 90s cartoons, Rocko's Modern
Oh
Life,
yeah,
Rugrats.
90s.
They all had...
Man, 90s hit that edge of like what was appropriate for kids all the time. So I kind of missed that. And I think that's what Ratchet and Clank, its humor came out of, because it was early 2000s, and so it took a lot of that. And yeah, that's my... If they had those kind of jokes throughout this kind of generic story, it would have made it much better.
Right, yeah.
But they decided to play safe, which I understand for the game, but does that mean the game's also going to be like that too? Is it going to have its adult humor stripped away from it?
I think so.
Which was a big thing.
That's what I feel like it's going to be.
Because the whole point was you have this silly universe, these cartoon characters. Everything is for kids, but it's got this underlying adult humor laid in throughout it. And it's just like, taking that away really shows like that was its style. That was the game's...
Well, do you know who the new developer is?
I think it's still Insomniac. I'll have to double check.
Because, yeah, that would surprise me. Because, you know, like, I mean, look at what happened when Spyro and... Spyro was taken away from Insomniac. Well, I don't know about taken away, whatever you want to call it. And Crash Bandicoot from Naughty Dog. And they just became lame and boring.
Yeah, because I think they kind of missed the point with those games. Because Crash Bandicoot had a little bit of that humor too. I remember seeing an advertisement for it, or at least like this promotional piece of thing, or it shows Crash's driver's license, and I think it was promoting the third one since he drives stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe it was promoting the first ones, I don't know. But on his license, it has all this stuff filled out, and under sex, it's supposed to be M for male, F for female. He just put yes. And it's just like, you wouldn't get away. I know it's such a small thing, it's really not that offensive, but even something that little, you can't get away with.
Well, didn't he constantly hump the air?
Yeah, he did that. That wrestling
I don't
move.
think you can do that now.
No.
Well, isn't that... Well, it's funny you say wrestling, because I never really watched wrestling, but from what I understand, it's all G-rated now. And
yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I remember there's one specific wrestler who said he did this, and he said, suck it.
Yeah, he did, like...
Yeah. And, like, apparently they don't do that anymore. It's like, it's all G-rated.
Yeah, I think that's just a sign of the times, is... In the 90s, you can get away with a little bit more, but now you literally can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I think this is a discussion for a whole other video.
Yeah,
but, you know, it's like, but there is a certain amount, like the cartoons nowadays, apparently, it's like they have not necessarily adult humor, but adult circumstances, apparently. But again, that's another video for another day.
I think it's fair to see, like, why they don't do it anymore. Because maybe it's just like you can't do the Ratchet and Clank thing anymore. Maybe that you just literally couldn't. Yeah. Maybe the developers wanted to, but then the higher ups were just like, and for the movie as well, we're just like, no, we can't put those jokes in there. All right, well, we're just gonna put generic stuff, because the whole point was they did have generic stuff, but they made fun of it.
Yeah.
Because like in this one, you see Captain Quark for the first time on TV being a hero. In the other one, you see him selling products and promoting a robot store.
Yeah.
And it's like that was like that. Yeah, he's such a hero, but what is he doing?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, there's that very important core missing from it, and so then everything's just bland.
Yeah.
Because when I played Insomniac's game, Sunset Overdrive, I felt like there's this scene, I think I talked about it before on the podcast before. There's this scene where your character steps out of the door on top of a building, and he or she looks out on the city. And it's just big, wide open, and it's like you can literally play at that moment. It's not a cutscene, but it just looks beautiful. And I'm like, that made me think of the scenes in Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah.
Like the scenes in Ratchet and Clank weren't as big, but at the time it was really cool. Yeah. It was big at the time, what she said. When I played that game, I'm like, this is an Insomniac game. Yeah. This is taking me back to my childhood, but with something new. Right. And that game has adult humor throughout it, but it's built more as an adult game. It's not a kid's game. Yeah. And so I feel like we can't get away with the kids games anymore, but we can still have that relevant thing with adult games.
Maybe that's why they were moving on at that one point when they were Insomniac. They're the ones that did the zombie one, right? The left were something about we're the only ones left.
No, you're thinking
The Rest of Us or Last of Us.
The Last of Us was Naughty Dog.
That was Naughty Dog.
Insomniac and Naughty Dog were buddies
Like
all the
maybe
time.
both of them were moving away at that point because like the top people were saying you can't be putting those jokes, and they're like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna make adult games then.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think they also wanted to grow up with their audience,
Yeah.
and so they were like, okay,
I
well,
mean, when you do look at it, look at their first games, Spyro and Crash Bandicoot weren't all that adult humor, and then it's like as they went on, they had more and more. So yeah, it was almost like they were growing up with their audience.
I think any good like developer, studio, show or whatever, they know how to grow up with their audience. Like you see it a couple times, and it's done pretty well. A lot of people don't like Naruto, but what they did try to do was grow up with their audience. I don't know if you ever watched it.
No.
Because they had the main series, and Naruto is a kid, and he acts very childish. And then what they did is they basically ended that series, and then they made the new one, Naruto Shippuden, and they set it a couple years in the future. Naruto's older, he's had more training off camera, and so they can grow up with their audience. And then now he's an adult and he has kids and stuff.
Also look, we were at the perfect generation. We grew up with Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was the same age as Harry Potter.
I was 2 years older, but it was still really close. I mean,
and then they've done it with like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Their next show, Legend of Korra, gets really fucking dark.
oh yeah.
Like there's a part where spoiler alert for Legend of Korra season 1.
So go ahead
So
and skip
click
to
this
time code
right here. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay,
I've
so you
never
don't
watch it, so don't spoil it.
Okay.
No, go ahead. I don't care.
But at the very end, the villain is going off, and someone else, his right-hand man, is going off with him, but he knows he needs to stop the villain. So he puts on this glove that shoots lightning, and they're driving in a boat. He puts it over a gas tank, and from a distance, it just blows up.
Oh.
And it's just like they're just fucking dead. And it's just like, oh my god. And it's like you feel bad for these, because the villain, he gets his backstory to show why he's a villain.
Right.
And so you kind of understand, and the person that's helping him along understands that he needs to end it before anything bad happens. And so it's just like, okay, they're really hitting adult themes with the show.
Yeah.
That was the topper, which was at the very end, which was a good ending.
Yeah.
Like I was just sitting there like, oh fuck. And so like these good studios, they know like, okay, the next series we do, whether it's in the same like type as the game or it's the same universe or whatever, we need to grow up with the audience.
Yeah.
Some studios and stuff, they stay with their audience. Like Pokemon stays with its young audience because they're gonna go forever. That's just what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But that's a bit off the rabbit trail of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it was good at the time. It can't be done again. It's kind of sad. Really thinking about it, like I didn't think about that before we started recording, but as we were talking, it's just like you're gonna get in trouble with so many different types of groups.
Yeah.
Like, because we live in a culture where we want to make it very safe, because we think that stuff kind of can affect kids, and I don't think it can. I mean, we're mostly functioning adults, right? But I think because that kind of adult humor gives kids like a little bit of a, I don't want to say diversity, but depth to them.
Yeah.
And it gives depth to these games. Like, we went back and played Ratchet and Clank, and it's still a funny
Oh
game.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the jokes weren't trying to be too hard. They weren't super crafted jokes. They were just, hey, let's just say some funny stuff, a little funny scenario, and then that's it. There's not too much to it in a good way.
Right. Yeah.
This one, it really, the movie a lot of times feels like, here's a joke. Ah.
Yeah.
No, that's not a joke. Like we talked about it, like in the car when we were driving around. A joke is something you set it up, you build it, and then you pay it off. Whereas you just say something funny, you have a fart joke. That's not a.
And you can't just have punchlines without the setup.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a lot of these these days.
I think the problem is sometimes just a punchline. It can be funny. It can be kind of funny.
Yeah.
It can work. But if you had a setup, it goes. It's the sum of the parts is more than. No. The whole of parts is more than the. Fuck! What's the saying? Here's the saying. Boop.
That's not it. Exactly. That's what.
There's gonna be a picture of a kitten. So yeah, on the part where speaking of like rushing and all that kind of stuff, yeah, they really kind of messed up with Clank's character, or at least the dynamic between Clank and Ratchet. Because there's a part where he's trying to save Captain Quark, and earlier in the movie they kind of touched on it a little bit, where Ratchet and the Rangers, they all like shoot first, ask questions later, and stuff like that. Whereas Clank and then the one girl, what was her name? Elaine? They're very scientific. They're trying to take their time and plan stuff out, and that is a good setup. Having these two separate worlds, and then they learn from each other.
Right. Yeah.
So at the very end, Clank is like, he's running to the teleporter, and Ratchet's like, "What are you doing?" And what did he say?
Improvising?
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I'm improvising." And it's like, if you just saw that moment out of context, you'd be like, "Oh, he's always been very by the books and stuff like that, and now he's learned from Ratchet to improvise." That wasn't explicitly
set up at all, yeah.
Like, you can kind of see where they were getting at, and maybe a scene was cut for time. Maybe. But, like, the only quote that they said before was, shoot first, ask questions later. And I even said, like, while we were watching, like, if he said that, doesn't work fully, but it'd be way more, would make more sense than improvising.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did do it right at one point, when Ratchet's boss tells him, what was it? To be a hero, you don't necessarily need to do something big. You need to do something.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
And then he says it later to Captain Quark. Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it was like, at least it was a callback.
I wouldn't say it was for the callback reasons. I was just like, it was showing that Ratchet is growing up.
Yeah.
He's taken all the different advice and he's gotten rid of the bad ones, but now he's taking the good advice, and it's helping him to help somebody else, and it's being passed on. And I think that was more of a message to kids, as like a good, like, empowering kind of thing. The whole thing is like, you don't have to do big things to be a hero. You don't have to make big decisions as a hero. You just have to make the right ones.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, that's a good message. It's like, you can still be a hero doing these small things. And
right.
It's a good message for kids. So, yeah. Oh.
Was this movie made for kids?
Yes.
Little kids?
Little to almost middle school. I feel like even in middle school, you're getting to the point where it's not all that great. Because at middle school, that's when I first got the games, I think. And I understood like some of the adult humor and stuff like that, and that's why I liked it.
I feel like with the whole Rush and Clank thing, it's like, we played the games, so it's like, if in the movie something was to happen to Clank, we would feel emotion. But I feel like if you never played the games, you just watch the movie and something, I don't think they would really care. Like, they didn't build that relationship between Clank and
yeah. I think that's why they're skipping over the points, because like, oh, they already know Ratchet and Clank are buddies, so we'll just kind of skip over that. That could be a possibility.
That's where I'm saying it kind of falls in that weird middle part where it's either for the little kids or it's for the nostalgia.
It doesn't work for the nostalgia. It works for the kids.
But in order for the kids, you need to build that relationship, but they're banking on that you already played the games.
Yeah.
So I feel like they messed up a little bit.
So because, again, I said this earlier, but that's what the game was doing, is it rushed it too. And I feel like in the game, you could, spend more time on that. I can understand in the movie you have to cut some things because it just doesn't, you don't have enough time. Whereas the game, you have more time to develop.
But I do feel like in the game, at least, I got to know the characters pretty well.
No, I mean the new game.
Oh, I didn't play it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, but I heard it's kind of rushing it too.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Every time you say that, you're talking about the new game. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Because I think the new game is going to be really close to how the movie is, at least the story-wise.
Yeah.
Hell, it might even use some of the same fucking graphics. For
Are they doing the? Of course, I guess you don't know, but I wonder if they're gonna do the same thing as the movie, kind of merging all three games into one, like the movie was, kind of.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that. What else can we talk about with Ratchet Clank? I feel like we're talking about.
We can see if there's a porn parody. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's probably a few, live action and animated.
I'm thinking of the girl is Ratchet.
Oh.
Ratchet and Dank. It's just a stoner porno parody. Subscribe. What the fuck?